The Verbania hinterland is discreetly fascinating. Premeno is among the best-known localities of the zone because at the beginning of the 20th century, several holiday camps for children were set up, hosted in the villas of the place. A few kilometers from Premeno, Pian di Sole, a skiing station, but also a panoramic setting facing the Lombardy shore of Lake Maggiore. Behind Verbania, a valley leads to nature across wild paths. The Intrasca Valley, destination of those who love sport, hiking across the plateau. The natural fascination of the landscape, together with traces of millenniums of history. We're in Mergozzo, a small town that has kept the savour of its traditions unaltered. The prehistorical finds, identified on the terraces overlooking the town and its lake, show how man settled into the stone at least 5,000 years or so ago. Going back toward the Ossola Valley, we reach Bogogna, some time ago a compulsory passage on the road to the Sempian. The town had relevant military importance in ancient times, precisely because of its strategic position. Between the 14th and 16th centuries, Bogogna prospered under the leadership of the Visconti and the Borromeo, enriching itself with civil and military constructions. Strongholds of the glorious epoch, the Visconteo Castle and the Pretorio Palace. Verbania Cusio Ossola is the stage of events that have marked past, modern and contemporary history. The traces of historical singularity are in the Cadorna line, built between 1911 and 1916 to protect the Italian territory from a hypothetical German attack through neutral Switzerland, a complex defensive system that extends from the Ossolane valleys to the Arabici passes. Roads, mule tracks, trenches, artillery positions, and more command centres and structures that in today's jargon would be called logistical bases. From history experienced on the field to the history of sacred art. The Sacri Monti, the Sacro Monte Calvario, inserted by UNESCO in 2003 in the Heritage of Humanity list, keeps watch over Domo d'Ossola. In 1656, two Capuchin monks chose the Mattarella hill that overlooks the main town, Ossolano, to host the sacred mountain and the Calvary. But it was the presence of Antonio Rosmini, who lived here as protagonist in the calendar of his difficult time and permeated this place with sacred culture. Rosmini spent his existence demonstrating that faith and reason are, as Giovanni Paolo II wrote in the Fides et Ratio encyclical, the two wings with which the human spirit rises toward the contemplation of the truth. Rosmini's teaching, in addition, have also created a school in Stresa, today home of the International Library of Rosminian Studies. The second Sacro Monte of the Verbania Cusio Ossola, inserted by UNESCO in the Heritage of Humanity list, is the Sacro Monte of Gifa, or Sacro Monte of the Santa Trinità, built between the 16th and 17th centuries. Today, the sanctuary includes 3 chapels dedicated to different biblical subjects and 3 other smaller chapels that act as oratories. Excellent examples of sacred art. They're still in the monumental church of Baceno in the Antigorio Valley, dedicated to San Gaudencio, first Archbishop of Novara. While the windows of the parochial church of Crevola d'Ossola are just as artistically fascinating. Art is the expression of nature, as history shaped by elements created by man, as a hymn to sacredness. Different perspectives that interweave to the point of creating a kaleidoscope framework of a truly singular geographic reality. But there are also the events, forever new and renewed in their tradition, that increases the cultural richness of the territory. From the international character of the extremely celebrated Stresa and Lake Maggiore Musical Weeks Festival, to the newest, but by now consolidated, Umberto Giordano di Baveno Festival. Playbills that have brought artists, operas, concerts and plays to Verbano Cusio Ossola and have written a page of its cultural history on the pentagram of the Azzurra province. Personalities who performed once but who've left an indelible mark. B.B. King, Ray Charles, Michel Pruticiani, to quote just a few. Masters like Valery Gergiev and Gianandrea Noseda at the direction of international orchestras who've made the notes of classical symphonic music reverberate from the stages of Verbano Cusio Ossola. But staying in the Azzurra province also means recharging their batteries for artists. Arturo Toscanini chose the San Giovanni Isle as the place in which to rest from the efforts of his tours. Gianni Rodari, Omegnese doc, carried Cusio in his heart wherever he went. Umberto Giordano made Villa Fedora in Beveno, other than a meeting place with his colleagues, the inspiration for the works he composed. The musical festivals develop between the lines and spaces of the pentagram, but the history of the territory is written on blank pages. A publishing panorama revealed as so conspicuous as to deserve its own space. This is how the Fabbrica di Carta was created, an event that, 11 years from its beginning, continues to grow, developing year after year thematic festivals that demonstrate a literary vivacity in continuous evolution. Not less effective, the message of another festival, spokesman for the literature of the mountain, Lettera Altura, a real and proper festival able to include within it, other than literature, also journeys, adventures, meetings, workshops and trips. Music, publishing, cinema. The Premio Grizzane Cinema is held in Stresa every year, able to attract well-known faces of the big screen to the Pearl of Lake Maggiore for a blend of culture and worldliness. Still in Stresa, the Italo-Swiss cinematographic meetings for young directors with the cooperation of Swiss Film and the Turin-Piedmont Film Commission. Another element of the Premio Grizzane on the banks of Lake Dorto is the crime novel, with awards for the best national authors among meetings, conventions, international guests and discussions.